الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على حي على الفلاح. حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون صدق الله العظيم أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah. We praise Him. We seek His help. We ask for His forgiveness. And as Muslims, we declare that nobody deserves to be worshipped in any way, shape, or form besides the one and only true God, Allah. And we declare that Muhammad was the last and final messenger that was sent for our guidance and for the guidance of all humanity until the end of time. Respected brothers and sisters, in 2014, the word selfie was selected to be the word of the year. Now, most of you know what a selfie is. It's where you take your phone that has a camera on it, and you hold it up to yourself, and you take a picture of yourself, rather than taking a picture of something else. And the reason why in 2014, just 5 years ago, it was voted word of the year is because the increase in the usage of the word from 2013 to 2014 was a 17,000% increase. What that means is that the word became frequent. It became common, whereas it wasn't common, which means that our culture began to change because of the rapid advancement of technology. And this change in culture is very significant because it has an impact on our physical well-being. It has an impact on our psychological well-being, and it has an impact on our spiritual well-being. In the same year, 2014, Google released some statistics about selfies, about the pictures that people were taking about themselves. And they said that the average amount of selfies that are taken per day is 93 million in 2014. Now, 5 years later, it might be double, it might be triple of what it was before. But then they released demographical data about the types of people who are taking these pictures. People have a lot of data about what we do, in case you were wondering, how has this all come about? Right? Everything is being tracked on our phones. Our behavior, our usage, where we eat, everything. And sometimes we can use it for our own benefit. So in 2014, they analyzed and they said the age group that takes the most selfies is between the ages of 18 to 24. In fact, 1 out of 3 pictures that they take with their phone is going to be a selfie. And then they calculated and they said that means that the average millennial, someone who was born 1981 or later, and I barely make that mark, they're going to take 25,700 pictures of themselves in their lifetime. Okay, now if you belong to that generation where you remember that when you used to take a picture, there was actually film in a camera, and you'd have to take it to the store and get it developed, you couldn't imagine that someone is going to take 25,000 pictures of themselves in their lifetime, let alone all the other things. So what happens is, because of the advancement in technology, because of the decrease in cost, because of the ease of being able to take pictures and share them and all of these things, the culture of what people do changes. So out of all the things you could do, you could take a picture of your family, you could take a picture of the mountains with snow on it, you could take a picture of a new masjid that is built, like this one. You could take a picture of so many important things. But the average person who is younger generation, millennial, they are 33% of the time, they're interested in mainly taking pictures of themselves rather than of anything else. And that means that the culture has shifted. Now, when it comes to the idea of selfies, there are some physical dangers. So Russia has just launched a safe selfie campaign. They said people are getting harmed because they're taking pictures of themselves. In India, they now have no selfie zones. So there's a zone, and there'll be a giant sign. It says, no selfies allowed here, because it's dangerous. Why? Because over 250 people have died while taking a picture of themselves. How could you die while taking a picture of yourself? Well, this is what happened. Someone is going up hiking, and they get to the top of the mountain, and they say, wow, look, I'm at the top of the mountain. Let me take a picture of myself and the background, and they fall off and they die. Or they go up a waterfall, and they say, wow, I climbed the waterfall. And they take a picture of themselves, they fall off and they die. Or they take a picture of themselves on train tracks, and they're so engrossed and absorbed in themselves that they don't realize a train is coming and it comes and hits them. That's the number one cause of selfie death. So we have physical dangers. Now that's concerning, but what's more concerning from an Islamic perspective is the psycho-spiritual dangers that are involved with the selfie culture. It's not just taking a picture of yourself. It's not like it's haram to take a picture of yourself once in a while. But it's the culture of constantly focusing on yourself rather than the rest of the world around you. So among the psychological dangers that we're seeing is that people are ending up in depression. People are getting into obsessive compulsive disorder. People are becoming addicted. And people's friendships are being damaged. And they end up into a type of behavior, what's called narcissistic behavior, which I'll define for you in a moment. Now, why is this happening? Human beings, according to Islam, are a little bit selfish by nature naturally, right? We're born that way. We have certain survival skills. You'll see little children, they'll try and take a toy from another child, and they'll say, no, it's mine, I want it. This is natural. Allah created us this way. But what happens is we live in a culture now that it's an all about me culture, where we're taught to focus primarily on ourselves, and we're trained to be selfish as possible, because that's seen to be something good for the economy. Consumerism, buy more, spend more, focus on yourself, make yourself happy, obey your thirst, obey your desires. All of these things, we live in that culture, and there's very little criticism about that. And that's where the idea of narcissism comes in. Narcissism is this term which basically says that when someone has a grandiose sense of their own self-importance and they require excessive admiration on a regular basis, they need to be complimented all the time, otherwise they can't function, they're falling into borderline narcissistic behavior. And this has become a problem that even many companies are recognizing, particularly in the millennial and younger generations. They say, if we're not constantly complimenting our employees or complimenting our customers and making them feel good, they just can't function. They become dysfunctional. And people who are from a different generation, they're all constantly complaining, so we can't work with these people. Something's not right about them. And part of it is because our culture has shifted. Now, this is very relevant to the Muslim community, because there's not a single gathering, a Muslim gathering that I've ever been to, whether it's a walima or a masjid gathering, where you put some Muslims around a table and you'll find some of the people saying, the youth, we got to protect the youth. The youth are messed up. These youth are, we got to somehow save these youth. We hear it all the time, everywhere, every conversation across the entire country, everyone is talking about, we got to somehow do something with these youth. Right? What exactly are they so messed up with? Like, what's going on with them? What are the issues? What's the root cause of the problem? Well, this is exactly what we're talking about. There was a study done at the University of Michigan. They looked at 72 independent studies of college students over a period of 30 years to see what has changed from one generation of college students to another. What is different in this generation compared to the previous generation of people who were going to college? So they looked at it and they said, among the main things that have changed over a 30-year period was that the measure of selfishness, an inflated sense of self-importance, and a need for admiration has increased by 58% compared to the previous generation. I mean that people feel that they're extra important, and they need to be reminded about how important they are, otherwise they cannot function. And this is not something that we shouldn't have seen coming. If we would have kept our eyes open, we could have seen it, because there was a Gallup poll that was done in the 1950s, generation even before the ones who are complaining today about the youth. Before that, in the 1950s, they gave teenagers across the country a survey, and they asked them, what do you think about this statement? The statement was, I am very important. Teenagers. Now, when we hear teenagers today, just alarm sirens start going off. People go, oh my God, teenagers. It's the worst age, and just, I don't know what's going to happen to them. 1950s, 12% of teenagers said, strongly agree with that statement, that they're very important in the world, just in the general scheme of the world. And then 30 years later, in the 1980s, the generation that's complaining about the younger generation today, in the 1980s, it jumped from 12% to 80%, saying that I am very important in this world. I matter, I'm significant on an individual level. Now, Islamically, everyone is important in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He created human beings. Human beings have a special central role. But on an individual level, to rather than just look at yourself and zoom out and see all the people in the world, if there's a zoom in going on and saying, I am extremely important on an individual level. And that's where the statement of the senior companion, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, comes in. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was one of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And he was one of the scholars among the companions, among the Sahaba. And he said an interesting statement. He said, destruction lies in two things: despair and self-admiration. Now what does he mean by that? What he means is that you're going to destroy your life and your akhirah, your next life, if you fall into despair. Falling into despair means in your life, I'm a C student, I'm never going to improve, I'm a failure, I'll never get the job like my parents are criticizing me, I'm not going to get married to a special important person, there's no point, I might as well just give up. So what he's saying is that if you end up going into despair, you're going to give up and you're not going to try to do anything about it, and you're going to end up destroying yourself. And in the akhirah, in the next life, you'll do the same thing. I just can't wake up for Fajr. It's never going to happen. I'm going to be stuck with only my 4 prayers. Or, I have a problem. I can't stop backbiting. There's no point in trying. I'm just going to keep doing it. And you give in to despair. And you don't want to make any change. You don't want to move along. So that's going to destroy you. And then the second thing he says is that self-admiration will destroy you as well. When you look at yourself and you're so proud, I'm awesome, I'm amazing, I'm the greatest person ever, which is the shift that we see along these lines, he says that will destroy you, because that person thinks they've achieved everything in life. They're happy where they are. They don't need to make any modification. They don't need to try to improve themselves, whether in this world or whether for the next world. And they're comfortable where they are, so it's going to lead them to destruction because they don't want to change anything. They don't want to try to make any improvement. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said regarding this self-admiration, He said, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not ascribe purity to yourselves. Do not say to yourself, I'm amazing, I'm a great Muslim, I'm an awesome person, I'm a this, I'm a that. And He says, هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. He, meaning Allah, is the one who's most knowing about the one who has the most piety, the one who has the most taqwa, which in the sight of Allah, that matters the most. Meaning Allah knows who's the best, and Allah knows who's awesome, and Allah knows who's really at that level to be praising themselves. He says, don't do that to yourself. Don't overinflate your own ego, right? Don't compliment yourself excessively, because you're going to fall into that trap where you stop doing things. So we live in this culture where almost every single person, they go to school, they're taught in elementary school the importance of self-esteem. Middle school, the importance of self-esteem. High school, you got to have self-esteem, you got to be confident. And that is true to an extent. If you're going to go to a job interview, you need to be confident. You need to at least act confident, right? You're going to go to a marriage interview, you want a good, spouse, you want to marry someone who's, really well qualified, you have to be confident in the interview, the halal dating chaperone process, whatever you want to call it, right? You need to, show that, hey, you're something too. So you need to have that confidence in some aspects of life, no doubt. But if we become overconfident, if we get to the point where, not to get into anxiety and depression, but if we start thinking we're just so amazing, constantly have to put ourselves up, then we're going to fall into a number of dangers. And there was a scholar who lived about 1,000 years ago by the name of Imam al-Ghazali. He talked about some of the dangers of self-admiration. And he said the first danger of having this excessive self-admiration is that it's going to cause you to overlook the bad deeds that you're doing. What's going to happen is the things that you're doing you're not supposed to be doing, you're just going to put them in the back, you're just going to brush them to the side, and you're going to focus on all the good things that you're doing. So for example, you're talking bad about some people. You're like, man, brother Muhammad, I hate that guy. He's like this, he's like that. Someone tells you, hey, we shouldn't be backbiting other people. We shouldn't gossip about other people. And you start thinking about it and you say, you know how much charity I give to the masjid? Do you know I volunteer? Do you know I feed the homeless people? And what they do is they put up all their good deeds, so the bad deeds they're doing, it just kind of becomes minuscule in their own eyes, and they don't focus on it anymore. And this is very common. And he said this, and this is talking about 1,000 years ago, he's telling us this. This is part of human nature. People do this. So he says that's the first danger. And then he says the second danger is related, is that people will become satisfied with the little that they're doing. So they pray 4 times a day. Say, alhamdulillah, at least I'm praying 4 times a day. I fast in Ramadan. I went for Hajj. I'm better than that guy. That guy's, loaning people. He's a loan shark, loaning people money with interest. That guy, look, he goes to the nightclub and he's drinking. At least I don't do that. That kid, look at that kid. That kid's smoking weed all the time. At least I'm not doing that. So what you do is, you look and you focus on the things you're doing and you're like, hey, I'm pretty good. I don't need to make any change in my life. And he said, that's a danger. Second danger. And then he says the third danger of excessive self-admiration is that you become prevented from shura. Now, shura means you consult with other people. So whenever you're supposed to make an important decision in your life, you're supposed to consult with people of wisdom, people of knowledge, people who have more life experience than you. Before you get married, consult. Don't just decide who you want. Consult with people who have experience, who have knowledge. Before you change jobs, before you decide what university you're going to go to, you should consult with people. These are big life decisions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us this in the Quran. Even the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to consult before he would make decisions, even though he's receiving direct revelation from Allah. So what Imam Ghazali is saying is that if you have excessive self-admiration about yourself, you're so proud of everything that you do, you'll never consult with other people because you're so smart anyways. Why would anyone's opinion matter to you? Because you know everything anyways. You don't need to consult with other people. There's nothing that they're going to be able to teach you. So you fall into that sense of arrogance, and you're not going to benefit from anything that they're telling you. And then he says harm number 4 is that you start showing off. With pride and arrogance, you start showing off in front of other people. Now, we were talking about selfies. And the thing is, like I said, people always come and tell me, they ask me after the khutbah, they're like, are you saying it's haram to take a selfie? That's not what the khutbah is about, okay? So please don't ask that question. No, it's not haram to take a selfie. You want to go to a restaurant one time, you're eating a burger, and you're like, wow, I'm eating this burger. It's the most amazing burger. You want to take a picture of yourself? Knock yourself out. It's not that big of a deal. But you could call these neutral selfies. But when it becomes an addiction, when it becomes a culture, when people start focusing so much on themselves, and when the selfies start to become a type of riya or showing off type of selfie, it becomes a problem. So what happens is there's a lot of these show-off selfies that are being done. So there was a study done by the Georgia Institute of Technology. They looked at Instagram, and they figured out a computer algorithm, and they analyzed 2.5 million pictures on Instagram that were selfies. And they wanted to figure out what category do these pictures fall into. And what they realized is that 52% of those pictures fall into the appearance category. They're people showing off their clothing, showing off their makeup, showing off their lips, showing off their biceps, just doing something that comes into the appearance category because they're trying to show someone else. Maybe because they're depressed and they want to show how great they are, or maybe they're just arrogant and they want to show how great they are. Either way, they go into the appearance category. And that's very detrimental on a spiritual level. When you're constantly trying to show off to other people, it becomes something that's going to eat away at your heart. So Imam Ghazali talked about that. And the last thing, the 5th danger he said, was that you start to have contempt for other people. You start to look down on other people because you think you're so great, other people are not as good as you. So just look at this person, he's not as good as me. Look at that person doing, you start finding faults in everyone, but you don't see the faults in yourself. And this is very, very dangerous. So we should be very careful about this. Now, what's the remedy? How do we resolve this? How do we rectify this? Well, the same Imam, he said that the root cause of all of this, excessive self-admiration, is that there's an ignorance about what your real status is. I mean, you may think you're awesome, but what if you're not? What if in the sight of other people you're not as great as you think you are? More importantly, most importantly, what if in the sight of Allah you're not as good as you think you are? Then what? Then that means you're ignorant, you're deluded about your own status. So we should try to be humble. And the second thing he says is you should remember how, even if you have that status, there's an ignorance about how you attained whatever you have in life. It's very easy to say, you know what, well, I'm a good looking person, or I'm a strong person, I got a lot of money, look, I have a good successful job, I got a really nice house. You say, well, how'd you get all that? I put in the effort, I worked hard, I went to school, and I did all of that. Well, what you don't realize is it's not just your own effort. You have to remember that this is also success from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we call tawfiq. If you don't get success from Allah, if He doesn't set up the circumstances for you to be successful, you could have put all your effort in and you would not have achieved any of this. So take, for example, someone has a good education. They have these degrees, and they say, because of my degrees, how did you get all these fancy degrees that got you a good job? I worked hard. Okay, you know what? There are people, and I'm smart, there are people in the world who are more hardworking than you, who are smarter than you. But guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them in a war zone. They did not have the opportunity to go to school. If they did, they would have worked harder than you, they were smarter than you, they would have beat you, you would have been in the bottom of the class. But Allah did not give them those circumstances. Or they came from a poor family, they couldn't afford an education. So because you got the education, yeah, you did some work, you put in some hard work, but it's not just that. The circumstances were set up for you to have success, and you'd reap the fruits of that success. If you're a successful businessman, or you're successful in your job, you're making a lot of money, you say, well, I did it because I put in the hard work, or because I have really good ideas, and therefore my business is successful. How many people in the world are more hardworking than you, who have better ideas than you, but guess what? They launched their business, and it happened to be, Allah put them in a circumstance where there's a recession, or there's a depression in that economy. And no matter how hard they worked, no matter how great ideas they had, their business was not able to be successful. But you made a few mistakes here and there, some big mistakes, but you were in a prosperous economy, your business still thrived, and everything worked for you. The point is, it's not just your effort. And when you remember that, you humble yourself and you realize, why am I being so arrogant? Why am I thinking I did all of this by myself? It's very important to humble ourselves, bring ourselves down a little bit. And we have to remember that if we don't thank Allah for all of the things He's given us, He can take away these blessings that we have. How many people were given so much beauty, beautiful, good looking, fit body, one car accident, all taken away from them, right? So Allah can take it away, and if we don't thank Him, it can be gone. The last thing, Imam al-Ghazali, he says that if you find yourself showing contempt for other people because you're so focusing on how great you are and you're looking down upon other people, what you should do is try to look at the good things in them, find the good things in them that you yourself are not able to do. Everyone, you're going to find that there's some things in people that you are not able to do what everyone else does. So if, let's say, you're a really good person, you come to the masjid, you do your prayers, you do everything, everything's looking good, but you know what, man? Brother Muhammad, that guy, he smiles all the time. Everyone he comes across, he's just smiling, he's glowing, and everyone just feels good around him. I can't smile like that guy. Just my cheeks would start hurting, right? I just can't be like that guy. That's amazing. That's, I admire that in him. So now you start to rebalance yourself. You humble yourself a little bit. You look at Sister Khadija, you say, man, Sister Khadija, anyone comes to her for help, she's always helping other people. She never says no when someone is in need. That's not something I can do. I try and do so many things, I balance things out, but that's on a totally different level. I can't handle that. So what do? You praise other people, you look at the good in other people, and you kind of rebalance yourself if you're falling into excessive self-admiration. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our mistakes. Ameen. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'iril muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. So just to recap, we were talking today about the selfie culture, where not only people are taking pictures of themselves, but what's more concerning is that they're focusing so much on themselves that they think that they want to be the center of attention. They need excessive admiration and excessive compliments, and that's because our culture has become a culture where we're engrossed in ourselves. And it's very important to reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very important to zoom the camera out and realize Allah has created all these people. And yes, in one sense, we're important, but we're not the greatest thing that's ever been created on an individual level. We all need to improve. We all need to work on ourselves. We all need to try to get closer to Allah, to become better people, to change the bad things about us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, help us to change ourselves for the better. Oh Allah, forgive us for the mistakes that we have made. Oh Allah, help us to worship you and be true and good Muslims. Oh Allah, help those people who are going through difficulties and those who are suffering. Oh Allah, show us the truth as truth and help us to follow it, and show us the false as false and keep us away from it. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa qimis salah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا واعتدلوا استووا تراصوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا القوم الكافرين. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا بمثل ما عوقبتم به ولئن صبرتم لهو خير للصابرين. واصبر وما صبرك إلا بالله ولا تحزن عليهم ولا تك في ضيق مما يمكرون. إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Construction update. Alhamdulillah, all go signals have been established, and inshallah, by Tuesday, rain will be gone. We'll allow a couple of days for the ground to dry up, and we'll start the parking lot construction. Takbir. Civil engineers are on their way to do the survey and to do the scaling. So staking is the first part of the construction. They all have been assigned, and inshallah construction will begin. During that time, as usual, inna Allaha ma'as sabirin, have patience. In the parking, if you want to find a spot, come 30 minutes, hour, 7 hours earlier, if it needs to be. No fighting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching everything. Jazakumullahu khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khairan, Shaykh Mustafa Umar, for such a beautiful khutbah. Today night, for family night, inshallah, we're going to have Brother Ahmed Shaykh. He's an attorney. He's going to talk about protecting your property or your Muslim family, Islamic inheritance. So please join us with your family. It's a very important talk. Next khatib going to be Shaykh Ahmed Billo, inshallah. This Sunday, February 3rd, we're going to have a halaqa. We're going to have a talk with Shaykh Wasim Khan. And after that, Super Bowl, inshallah. Please join us. It's for adults, for young, for family. We're going to have a separate place for ladies, for men, for boys. We're going to have games. We're going to have food. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on. So please join us and bring your kids. Also, the snow treat, it's going, like the camping, inshallah. Yesterday was the last day of registration. Inshallah, free clinic going to be happening. I will update you very soon. It's in 2/23, inshallah, 2/10, inshallah. February 10th, going to have a free clinic in here. Going to be very important. I will update you next week, inshallah. This is very important. I already told you we are working in a yearly or 2-year calendar. Now it's coming up. Every Tuesday, we're going to have a halaqa, ilm halaqa. And it's going to be a classes. And inshallah, it's going to be led by Sheikh Jamil Bazada, or I hope I said the name. And it's already locked in. It's going to start, inshallah, in February 12th. It's free of charge. There are classes 7:30 after Isha, inshallah. It's going to be starting in 2 weeks from now. If you want to know more about this, there is Brother Shabir on the desk there on the right side. Go see him, discuss with him. We still didn't lock in the topic, so we include you there. Go choose the topic. There is a survey. There are many topics in there we are preparing, and we need you to go there, give your opinion, see what works for you, what's good for you. In the meanwhile, we need your donation for Friday. We need your donations for that halaqah. It costs money. It's free of charge for you, but we need donations so we can make it happen, inshallah. And also, we're going to be having other days and other halaqah. This halaqah will be going, inshallah, every Tuesday from now to Ramadan. So every Tuesday, 7:30, here we're going to have a halaqah. He's coming from Corona. He's coming from far, and he's going to go far. So please encourage us to bring these programs. And also give us suggestions, what scholars and this. And we need to put pressure on our Shaykh. Also, so Mustafa Umar, we need him to do some classes in here. So put his name in there so we can tell him, hey, we need you in here. Inshallah, we're going to bring him for some classes too. We're looking onto that, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Please make your dua for our sick and disease. Please join our community. We are doing all committees in there. Register yourself so you can be part of our volunteering, part of our help. We need your money for the construction and the programs. And there is weekend school is going on, Quran Academy is going on, and there is women. It's 11:30 to 1 o'clock every Friday, 11:30, women's halaqa. Please join them, led by Dr. Fatima Arafa. Jazakumullah khairan for making dua for brother Muhammad, Suhail, Shaykh, and sister Maryam from Canada. Jazakumullah khair.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم رب الناس اذهب البأس عن المرضى اشفيهم وأنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك. اللهم باسمك الأعظم الذي إذا دعيت به أجبت وإذا سئلت به أعطيت، أن تشفي مرضانا وأن ترحم موتانا وأن تعافي مبتلانا. ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن علمنا ولمشايخنا ولكل من له فضل علينا. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.